alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters, dear friends. Jazakallah here for tuning in to the Wahda podcast. If you haven't already followed us on Instagram and Twitter, please do so at team_Wahda, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. This podcast is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome all back to the Wahda podcast. We are currently on episode 4. We'll be discussing time management in this self-isolation period that we find ourselves in. And so I'll ask you, Kamil or Hashim, how have you been coping with this self-isolation or quarantine, as they call it?
Go on, Hashim. How have you been doing?
Well, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Well, basically, in this unforeseen circumstances, the fact that we are in self-isolation now, and just a few days ago, the Prime Minister announced that we are in lockdown, and it has been hard times, I can't lie, because first of all, there's no football, so obviously not having football in there is very difficult, because obviously that's something
Big part of your life.
Big part of my life, yeah. And also, just the atmosphere around it, like everyone, they're panic buying. There's no one really in the streets, and it feels a bit weird at this moment in time.
Yeah, that's true.
And the
I
fact
think,
that, Go on.
No, Karen.
And the fact that obviously in Mecca the wife is stopped.
Yeah, that's a scary sight, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know, man. It's crazy. But yeah, it's crazy. If you look at the whole world is like, you're kind of, when there's like a sense of crisis, the whole world is like, there's a sense of loss of like just basic morals. And it's quite scary to see that, you know, we live in such a rich country, but people are panicking so badly, and then you go to third world countries and it's as if nothing's happening.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's mad. But I think one thing, like Hashim, you're talking about football, losing football. I think in situations like this, it shows how much we take things for granted.
Yeah.
Like we're all going to school. I'm missing school. I'm like, I want to go back to school because I just can't hack it every day at home. It's just not the same.
Same. I think that the fact that obviously it's the thing is with this pandemic, it's happened very slowly, and the fact that day by day you're having press conferences, you don't know what's going to be next, you don't know whether you're going to be in lockdown today, you don't know whether you're going to go back to school whenever it is. It's just it's very very it's very very crazy, because the next day you don't know what's going to happen, and it's the death rolls keep going up, so you just gotta remain patient, and you just gotta follow the rules if you want to keep safe.
Yeah, 100%. I think if anything, I think that's kind of been even worse. That has been quite a gradual progression, because I remember the first time that we heard about this pandemic in China, in Wuhan, and when that was end of 2019, I think.
Yeah, January time, I think.
Yeah. And people were just joking about it like it was like it's just like a little media hysteria thing.
Yeah,
and now it's crazy, this whole media hysteria. And now it's kind of blown up into this huge global issue. Like this is like World War III, but if anything, we're not fighting each other; we're fighting the natural elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. But it's, if anything, you're talking about these press conferences and these things. If anything, that's just been delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
That I think it was kind of inevitable. Everything's by the will of Allah, of course, but it was inevitable that it would get to this stage. And I think the way that our higher ups have dealt with it, and governments and that, it's been a bit reactionary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we shouldn't resort to fear or panic, because
yeah, exactly, man. Like in this country, it's incredible. Yeah, go on, Yusuf.
Yeah, Allah is that more powerful. He's the creator.
Yeah,
we should put our trust in Allah, and take the means, but also trust in Allah that He'll give us safe passage to these times.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
At the end of the day, we have to have tawakkul in Allah and have trust in Allah. Everything will pan out in the way it's supposed to, innit?
Yeah, there's a lot of brothers, and there's a lot of people out here saying that, this is suffering for us Muslims and stuff. And I was listening to a talk of Mufti Menks about this pandemic, and he was like, listen, things that Allah has sent down, that does not bring you far from Him, it brings you towards Him. And I feel like this is exactly what it is.
Yeah,
because we're in a position where Allah has sent this pandemic down to us Muslims to show that, listen, praise me, I'm the all praiseworthy, and you have to. It's mercy. It's something which is, as Muslims, going to make us unite us more, going to make us want to pray more, going to make us want to seek more forgiveness. Because if Allah has sent something down that wanted you to stay far away from it, then that would have been His purpose. But in this case, it's not. In this case, what Allah wants you to come closer to Him, and therefore that's something which we should be looking at as a positive. Like there was this sheikh, and they were saying, oh yeah, what's the positive about the Makkah being closed down? He said the one positive is that Muslims don't worship the Kaaba. They face the direction of the Kaaba, but actually they worship Allah. So at the end of the day, you can shut down mosques, you can shut down wherever you want. At the end of the day, it's Allah the one that you're worshiping, not these specific things.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's an opportunity to grow ourselves spiritually and become closer to Allah. So how do
100%. Brother, we have so much free time right now. You could be. I was watching the Arigawa video, and he said, "Listen, if you aren't gonna pray now, when there's nothing, when you're not even at school,
no excuses,
you have no excuse,
There's no excuses,
no
man.
homework, no time, man.
My days. There's no excuses.
There's no excuse. So if you can't do it now, you're never gonna do it.
Yeah.
How would someone go about it though, man? Because if you're not practicing anyway, like we were talking about in the last video in terms of prayer, if you're in a stage in your life where prayer is a bit difficult for you in and out, how do you you've got all this free time, how do you stay, what measures do you take to try and get closer to Allah?
Well,
I'll let you speak.
You start small in it. You don't go for this grand, read the whole Quran in one day, that kind of thing. You just start building small.
Would you set objectives? Because my objective is to try and finish the Quran by the time we get back to normal life. But that's just me. Like, what have you guys been doing?
I would make small, consistent habits. So, for example, read a page of Quran a day, or even a verse of Quran a day. Read this dua in the morning. Do these azkars at this time. Just small, consistent habits, and that's what's going to take you far. Because then, once you become habitual on good deeds, you get used to it.
Exactly.
I think my advice on any young, old brother, sister who is at this moment in time struggling with praying and is at their point in time where they're Muslim and they don't know what to do. First of all, the advice I would give them is the fact that you have free time, make use of your free time. So when it comes to the prayer times, pray. Because you're not really doing anything. You have to think to yourself, 1 hour of my day is going to pray. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not seeing anyone.
Give me half an hour if you do the bare minimum.
Exactly. And therefore, let me take this chance to express Allah.
24 hours.
Also, read the Quran.
Exactly. It's not like we have 6 hours at school now anyway. Exactly. So that's another 6 hours you can gain now.
Also, read the Quran. The Quran is a blessing. It's a book. I've been reading the Quran a lot. Yeah. It will teach you various things and it will show you a guide. It's therefore a guide for mankind. Therefore, read it. Listen to the stories like I was talking about Yusuf, the story of Prophet Yusuf, the story of Prophet Adam, the story of Prophet Ibrahim. Look at these in the Quran. Look at the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his life, his stories. Listen to Islamic videos and enhance your iman. This is not something which you should say, oh yeah, I'm just going to do nothing and ruin my life for this whole 2 months. No, think Allah has blessed you. Allah has blessed you to give you such free time in order to praise Him. So therefore, grab it with both hands, take it with you, and I'm telling you, brothers, inshallah, Allah will open doors for you and they will fly by and you will notice so much change. Like I said to you, when I started praying, when I started doing things, you notice change in an instance. You become more humble. You don't become arrogant. You don't become a bad person. You start to realize things. You start to want to be humble. You start to want to pray more. Be content with things. That's what you have to do, brother. Obviously, there's that moment in time where all of this stuff is happening, shops are closing, nothing's happening. You just have to be content with what it is, because at this moment in time, you have to be patient, because other prophets and other people have been tested way more. Life is not here just for everything to be perfect. Yeah. Prophet Ayub has been tested, many times. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been tested many times, and therefore you should just look at it as, listen, Ya Allah is testing me. This is my destiny, and therefore let me just remain patient and ask Allah for forgiveness and guidance, and that's all you can do.
Yeah. So Hashim, you said we should connect to the Quran. How might want to do that.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't, obviously we live in a global age where technology is instant in all societies. So if you're in this pandemic in the UK and you're not on your phone or you're not on a TV, I don't know what to say, but say for example you aren't on a TV, yeah, and you don't have a phone. Obviously, there's a free Quran page which you can order a Quran from. The brothers up in London, they give it to you, and therefore it's free. You don't have to pay any money. You just get ordered by post, and therefore you can read it. If you do have a phone, which many people will have, then you can easily, there's Quran apps, there's Quran there, read it, listen to it. I like to listen to it a lot because obviously it soothes the heart. The Quran lowers the heart rate, and therefore it soothes it. So therefore, just look at it as like medicine. Yeah, look at it as I say all the time. Look at it as guidance. It's there for guidance for mankind.
And what are some of those reciters that
Medicine.
we can listen to? Any favorites?
I listen to one of Gamma's favorite reciters, Hazza al-Balushi. You can listen to Sheikh Haitham Al Dukhayn. He's a very, very good reciter. I have
fam.
Wahda Covid-19.
My guy.
Very, very good reciters.
Abdul Basit.
Yeah, the main man.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Man, you forgot about the main man himself, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of different styles as well.
Yeah, man. But yeah,
also,
we can put some of these in the description if you want.
Not only listen to and read, but also understand it.
There's so many styles.
So, like,
yeah,
there's certain people online that you can listen to that go through the Quran, like the Nawan Ali Khan, different scholars as well.
Yeah.
Yes, there's various tafsir verses. I have an app with
Tafsir.
Yes.
Want to internalize it,
Because that's true. Although like we get rewarded for reading it, we actually want to understand why we're reading it, what we're reading it for.
Was sent down for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Exactly.
And obviously it was revealed in 23 years. So therefore, when I look at different surahs, that had an impact on the Prophet's time. So when the Prophet Yusuf's story was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, his wife Khadija had died, his uncle Abu Talib had died, and therefore the Prophet was obviously in very, very grief and very, very sorrowness, and he went to I think he went to Taif, and he was trying to give dawah and therefore got stoned there, and people were calling him a magician and a liar and stuff, and therefore you have to look at it as the story of Prophet Yusuf was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the time of need, and therefore shows that Allah will never abandon you. And even the people who are close to you, they will sometimes abandon you. They will sometimes not have the same happiness for you. But therefore, if you trust in Allah, then everything will be okay.
Yeah, even when it's looking bleak, like right now we're in a pretty bleak time, and the only person or the only one who will not let us down is Allah, you know. And if we return to Him in repentance, we won't be disappointed. Because at the end of the day, this is still a test, you know. For me, it's a test for me because it's like we're panicking in this country, you know. If you look at videos in Europe, like Switzerland and France, there's no panicking in the supermarkets, nothing like that. And in this country, you're looking at everyone panicking, they're scared, there's scaremongering. But I think one thing is that people shouldn't forget that there's other things going on in the world as well. People are still suffering in it. Like this pandemic has come, and it's kind of, if anything, it's kind of covered our eyes in a way because it's still, we're not thinking about the brothers and sisters who are suffering around the world. Like if this pandemic spreads into, for example, the Rohingyas in Burma, then you know what I mean, they're still being oppressed. The Muslims, the Uyghurs in China are still being oppressed.
Because we're not going.
We have to make sure that we don't forget about them. Just as, do you know what I mean? Exactly, because at the end of the day, we still live in a really like woeful country, alhamdulillah, you know.
And anything.
Exactly. And if we just it's one thing that I've learned about some people is in this situation is, you know, we should always have like faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because it's His will at the end of the day. But don't go looking for trouble in it. If you go looking for trouble, trouble tends to follow you. You tend to meet trouble. If you stay like vigilant, rather than going around shaking people's hand. Like you've seen these videos on the London Underground, people are licking the lampposts. It's just crazy. Like what is all this, man? Like it's just all these stupid trends, licking toilets and stuff. Like if you're looking for trouble in that, it's gonna come to you, isn't it? If you stay
Yeah.
vigilant, it's
I was
gonna
just
pay
gonna
for Allah
say,
subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the best
there was this
outcome will
thing I
come.
was reading on Instagram. It was Yasir Qadhi, and he says in the year 1665, a great plague had hit the city of London, and a young man named Isaac Newton, who was actually studying at the time, was sent home because obviously the Cambridge University had shut down, and therefore it affected them. And he then, while he was in his spare time, he came across the theory of gravity and also launched his scientific career, and therefore has huge effects on human history. And then you look at 350 years now, today, the brothers can't even, they're struggling to stay at home and eating down and stuff. And but when the plague hit London, Isaac Newton it's crazy. Like people.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you look at human history, like a lot of the greatest achievements have been done in isolation. Like the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran was first revealed in isolation. You know, if you even look in scientific wise, like you talked about Isaac Newton, Hashim. If you look at Albert Einstein, in isolation, he discovered the theory of curiosity. These great mathematicians, theologians, scientists, even in Islamic history, exactly. Al-Khwarizmi and all that, Ibn Sina, all these people, they regard it as creative solitude. If anything, they embrace it. We should embrace it, because a lot of the time you need this solitude to be able to achieve the most out of your own self, spiritually and
now, I think
like,
that
physically. If that makes sense.
There's some people that are panicking. There's some people that they're not following the rules. You just listen. If you're obviously not, you have to realize this is very, very serious. This is not something which is not a joke.
It is, of course.
400, 500 people in the UK have suffered from this pandemic in a very, very short amount of time. And people in Italy are dying very, very rapidly. USA is suffering very, very a lot. Flights.
The worst thing is that this country hasn't even seen the worst of it, and subhanAllah, we're panicking so much.
You don't even need to have an internet. The fact that everything is shut just shows you how bad it is. The NHS is to the ground. The NHS is actually having to have volunteers help them because they are so in need of help. So you have to look at this and think to yourself, if you're someone who's there and is not understanding this pandemic or is confused, stay at home, while you're in lockdown. If you're a Muslim brother, be enhancing your Islamic knowledge and be becoming more closer to Allah. That's what your target should be. And if you're non-Muslim, just make sure you stay at home. Just make sure you care for your parents. Wash your hands all the time. Take care of your hygiene. Take care of your health. Exactly. Catch it, bin it, kill it. And also, if you need to go and exercise, go outside one time a day. Don't just go and start trouble with your mates, doing all this, bothering old people who are suffering and not going by the rules. Because listen, the longer you are doing this, the longer you're dragging it out and not listening to the rules, the longer we're going to be on lockdown. So you just have to think about it that way.
Yeah. Have you guys seen obviously a lot of Muslim brothers and sisters have passed away because of this pandemic. Have you seen the way that they've had to do janazah? It's crazy, subhanAllah. Like they can't even do the ghusl of the body. They have to do tayammum.
The cleansing of the body, the washing of the body is one of the most important parts when you do a janazah, because that is physically cleansing the body and making sure that it goes in a pure state. And therefore, obviously, masjid is closed, and all places of worship are closed, even if it's a synagogue or a Christian church.
I think for me, this is the thing, because I've read a few statistics and saying that Muslim households especially are very prone to spreading the pandemic, the virus, as a result. This because
that for me is
the way we greet each other and that sort of stuff. But
because
for me,
obviously as a Muslim, if you do pray, you're performing washing yourself 5 times a day. And obviously the Prophet made it clear.
Yeah. Now this is the thing. This is the thing because it's a few various statistics, but it's not even just with Muslims. Like if you look at various
I think he talked about
religious
licking the lamppost.
institutions,
That's something to
mosques,
do.
synagogues, Hindu temples.
No.
No. Trust me. I've seen. I don't know. It may not be true, but
Yeah.
if you look at in general the religious
Yeah.
institutions, I think for me they were quite slow in shutting down because at the end of the day, if you look in Islam, prayer doesn't come above human life. You know what I mean? Human life goes above prayer, so I think then those sort of precautions were taken a bit too slowly. But alhamdulillah, they're closed now.
I think you're right.
At the end of the day, the world is a masajid, isn't it?
You're saying
The world is a masajid.
how self-isolation is a great tool for many people to develop themselves. Give the example of Isaac Newton, even Carl Jung. So how can we use this time to grow ourselves mentally? For example, reading, I don't know.
I look at it from a mental aspect. Like I look at it
reading
from a mental
something
aspect.
definitely.
For example, Yusuf was talking about mental aspect. Obviously, you have to train your mind to have some patience. You have to train your mind to be disciplined. So therefore, I look at it as, for me, the answer is prayer.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was this Christian brother, Yusuf Estes, and he was a Christian. And he used to, when he used to go to church, he used to play music. And he used to look at the Muslims, and the Muslims you play obviously silent. You don't pray with anything. And he was very befuddled by that because the fact that you're in complete silence without any distractions for other people and other religions is completely obnoxious. So therefore, you have to look at it as prayer is something which will stable the mind. Also, I've been doing dhikr a lot. Dhikr is there to remembrance of Allah, purify the soul, and therefore you got to do a lot. Like I've been downloading this app. It's very, very good. It stops you from bad thoughts. It stops you from mental health because obviously it allows you to establish that Allah is the creator. Allah is the only sufficient Lord who can make anything possible, and therefore you have to look at it as that Allah is the one in control of that.
Yeah. Yusuf, what about you? What have you been doing like a lot more now that we've been in self-isolation? How long have we been in self-isolation? Like nearly a week, is it?
Kind of did it.
I've just been trying to grow myself, like improve myself spiritually, mentally, and all aspects. So obviously, spiritually, we said building good habits, good deeds, even if they're small, and then fasting Mondays and Thursdays, listening to Islamic lectures on YouTube. There's a lot of sheikhs like that we can mention in the comments. More dhikr, as Hashim said, and then mentally, obviously, reading more. So reading for understanding and information, self-discipline, trying to learn how to be disciplined, improve time management. I think it's important that we leave this period better than we came into it.
Yeah, I think exercise has a big effect on discipline and self-esteem as well. Because obviously, when you exercise, your body produces a chemical called endorphins, and therefore that gives you a feel-good factor. So therefore, just by walking and just by like you know what I mean, going back and just walking, it gives you that sense of goodness. Yeah, obviously, I've studied
Harsh and the scientist.
Physical education before, so my part of my expertise. So I look at it as having regular exercise, doing good things, being with family, you know what I mean, just helping yourself. That will have a toll on your life.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah.
That's true. Now we've got such a big opportunity to stay with our families and that. That usually, we have so many things happening in our day. Now we've got no excuse not to be around our family. Binging TV shows, isn't it, Hashim?
I don't think it's too much is a good, isn't it?
But what's it?
Yeah, too much is not good.
Nah, too much is never good, man.
Yeah. Don't just blaze about it.
Too much is never good. Too much is never good.
It won't benefit you in this life or the next life.
exactly. It's just
Only
procrastinating.
short-term gain, long-term loss.
Exactly.
I look at what Yusuf said about just reading one page
Yeah,
of the Quran.
even
There you
you
go.
can't do a page, just read one line. Just do a line.
Yeah.
There's a hadith, like
Yeah, even if you read
the
one
good
line,
deeds,
that's fine.
the most loved by Allah are those that are done regularly, even if they're small. So like, small, just build up small, consistent deeds.
Small and consistent.
You can't do a line. Do one word a day.
Just read habits. Read habits. I'm telling you, I told you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I said if you pray constantly, you will get that habit of you will keep doing it. It's like I told you, it's like running 2 miles for 2 miles for 2 weeks. If you're training, if you keep running and running,
you'll see the benefit.
And you can't run that distance, and you keep trying and you keep doing it, you will do it because your body will get used to it. Same with prayer. You keep and same with other things.
Yeah.
You keep praying, you keep praying, and then you'll get that reap and habit of not wanting to miss it.
Yeah, and you start to enjoy it more.
And then it gets to the point where when you miss it,
it's no longer like I have to pray, I have to read Quran. It's like you want to do it now, which is what you want. You don't want to be forcing yourself to do these things, which is why you start small, isn't it?
Yeah, man. It's like the gym. Because at the gym you start off slowly, man. Like when you don't go into the gym and start pumping the highest weights. It's not like
build your muscles, your endurance, and then
you go at the minimum and then slowly up the ante.
Capacity.
Exactly.
I think recently, obviously, something which has got me
there you go.
feeling good is waking up for Fajr. I think that because Fajr is now obviously it's at 4 a.m.
Yeah, man.
It's very, very early now. Therefore, for me, waking up for Fajr is a blessing in itself. It gives you because when the whole world is sleeping and you're waking up and you're praising your Lord, nothing can top that. There's a hadith that says, if you pray 2 rak'ahs sunnah, that you will be one of the top people, top earners, top people, and that's how you got to look at it. Like the best of creation, obviously praying Fajr, and I think that it's something that obviously these brothers and sisters should be looking at as wanting to feel good and just submitting yourself to Allah all the time, because that's what a Muslim is. And waking up early and when everyone's asleep is dictation of that.
But sometimes if you wake up at that time and you're on social media or you're on YouTube, it kind of ruins it. I think. It kind of
you wake up and the first thing you do
find in the morning at Fajr time.
Look at your likes and follows, innit?
That's what I found anyway.
Same. I find it as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also temptations as well. Obviously, certain brothers, they will be going off smoking. They'll be going off doing some bad stuff. So, brothers and sisters, they'll be going off smoking and obviously seeing different people and having relationships, and they won't be used to this sort of things. Therefore, you have a chance to you have a chance to establish that and say, listen, this is now or never. Like, I'm going to make a decision that is going to affect me for the rest of my life. So therefore, let me turn to Allah, submit myself to Allah, and stop all this stuff that's been going on before.
And the blessing about this the self-isolation, this quarantine that we're having right now is that your company will no longer really affect you in that way. So alhamdulillah, now it's easier for you to focus on your prayer and focus on certain things in your life that you'll probably be a bit you're repelled.
Also, the fact that
before because of the people you're around.
Schoolwork is still undertaken right now. Still have different assignments and stuff. That keeps you busy.
That should be.
Yeah.
That's part of useful time as well. Is doing your schoolwork.
That's true. Homework is.
And you have time to catch up as well.
Yeah, man. It's not just wake up on PlayStation all day, is it? It's just. Yeah, man.
I was reading this quote by.
Some people, man.
I think it's by Haitham Al Dukhayn, and it's like from the signs that Allah turns away from someone is that he's involved with things that don't concern him, and you don't really want that in these times, do you? For a lot.
You don't want to be getting into arguments over social media, and you don't want to be putting up bad vibes onto yourself, man.
Exactly, man. I think now it's time for like more soul searching. Like instead of the effect you have on other people's life, like think about the effect you have on your own life. Instead of getting into these social media beefs and all this sort of stuff, that's just wasting your time. Like it's probably like 5 minutes a day or something, but slowly it adds up. Now you're in a period of isolation. Now look at yourself and
especially
spend
since we need it right now. These
time you
times
spend on other people and
ever,
yourself
isn't
and
it?
try and change yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
More than ever, 100%.
Making new good habits, also breaking old bad habits, I think essential as well. Because then also, you don't want to be breaking even; you want to be making a profit.
Yeah,
on the good.
100%.
But inshallah, everything.
Yeah,
all this
there you go.
thing is, inshallah, with the will of Allah, this pandemic will be over, and we should go back to returning to your lives. And that's where, for me, obviously, I want to get Kamil and Yusuf involved in a bit. That's where, for me, that will show you whether you've changed. That will show you whether you made big steps. When it all becomes better again, when the streets open, shops open again, you're out with your friends and you're doing stuff. Will that have a toll on you, or will that make you more hungry and 100%. More want to motivate you to not engage in this fitna?
Yeah, it's like after Ramadan, isn't it? It's like after Ramadan, man. Like you've been fasting for 30 days, like the 30 days
you don't want to be someone who only
now you're back
you don't want
into
to be
the
people who
wilderness.
only go to Allah in hard times. You want to be people who go to Allah in good times, and
yeah.
Just stay positive. That's my advice. Just stay
in the best
stay
times.
Positive. Pray
at all times.
Say alhamdulillah for everything. Just stay positive, man, because listen, this virus is not going to be permanent. It's not going to shade you for your whole life. Therefore, just be positive and trust Allah. Because if you trust Allah, I said to Kamil before when we were talking, I said, when you attach your heart to everything other than Allah, your heart will be broken, you'll feel sad, you'll go through depression, you'll go through mental health issues. Therefore, don't. Therefore, put your full trust in Allah, like other prophets have done. When you put your trust in Allah, and I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, everything will be...
Yeah. As well as trust as well, it's also important to be grateful, because, think of all the blessings we still have. We have food, we've got shelter, we have still our bodies are intact, everything. If we look at people across the world who are suffering worse, it makes you grateful. You appreciate what you actually have.
Exactly. But anyways,
I know.
What about one thing that I've been doing is reading, man. Trust me, reading. I've been reading so much more now. Like just reading.
You don't have an idle mind.
I'm trying to finish a book a week or something like that.
So idle mind is the devil's workshop, as they say.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's true. I've been mostly reading Quran because for me,
it's true,
obviously, the new Quran came, as I haven't mentioned to Cameron. The new Quran came that I ordered. I ordered it came.
It came.
I ordered a new one and it came.
Bro, my one still hasn't come yet.
Yeah, I think
it's been 2 months and my one hasn't come yet. What the hell, man? Did you get some Amazon Prime delivery or something? But my one's been lost in the mail, man.
No, it's good. It's good. It's definitely it gives you that
customer service, man.
The brothers that gave it from City Centre Dower. It's the brothers.
Who gave it? Shout them out quickly, man.
London. City Centre Dower. The brothers. Big shout out. They've the book is very, very knowledgeable. Has some good words in there. Explains everything. It's got good. It's got certain hadiths. It hasn't got tafsir, but it's got the verses explained a little bit, and then it gives a little bit of extra. It gives it extra addition to it, and also basically it has the hadith on the bottom as well. So therefore, it allows you to see the hadith as well.
Yeah, reading Quran is important.
Yeah.
And you won't get this time,
isolation
over again.
The world is still
around. It's time to read, to increase in knowledge. The time is now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what books are you reading, Cameron?
Exactly. I've been reading. I've nearly finished a book called
Oh yeah.
23 Things You Didn't Know About Capitalism. Yusuf, you're definitely intrigued about that, I know. That's one book I've been reading. Very intriguing. Opens your eyes, man, about the world that we live in. I don't want to get too political, but yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. And then I'm just reading different news articles. Like I came across a stupid news article the other day,
Yeah, I don't read.
and I think it was by The Economist. Yeah, it was by The Economist, and it was like amid this coronavirus pandemic, whatever disaster it is, that that we should still not forget the role of
Yeah, I look at those
Islamic terrorism.
ignorant people,
It's just
man.
stupid. It was like honestly, I was like, give us a break, man. Like even at that time, that they're still trying to
Indonesia
find a
just
way
bored,
to
isn't it?
like go against Muslims.
It's
I'm not subhanAllah, man. We can't win, can we?
enough, so now they have to go back to Muslims, innit?
There's nothing happening in it that's getting them that many clicks.
I was reading
Exactly.
yeah, I was reading
Their sales peaked for a week, and now they're looking for someone else.
the miracles of the Prophet, and obviously how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam split the moon. And obviously the Makkans at that time, they didn't believe in Islam, and they didn't they didn't believe in like Allah and stuff, and the Prophet as a messenger, and they wanted to know certain miracles, and the Prophet would show them certain miracles, but they would not believe because they were ignorant and they didn't really care.
Okay.
And obviously they wanted to know more. They was like, oh yeah, if you can bring your God down, then we will believe. But Allah says, listen, I don't play games. I'm not going to show you certain things that don't need to be shown. And therefore, even if Allah was to show them and come down, they would never believe because their hearts have been sealed. It's the verse in the Quran that some people's hearts have been sealed, the ignorant ones. And therefore, you got to look at it as if the Prophet went through ignorant people at those times and they just didn't believe, you have to look at that as well. Because the Prophet, when he was in Makkah, preached for 10 years, preached for a decade. Then he went to Taif, and obviously that didn't work well out there. And obviously all that preaching, the Meccan people, they didn't buy into Islam. So therefore you have to look at it as some people, they won't be on your same page. They won't look at it as how you look at it.
Yeah.
Even if it's the best of creation. Because Allah has sealed their hearts. It's not the fact that, they will never ever believe. It's because Allah has control of all mankind and therefore has chosen for these certain people. But the people who choose to believe and the people who are not ignorant people, then they will soon be guided.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because if you look at, you're talking about Taif, when the Prophet ﷺ went to Taif, the way he was received by the people of Taif was like, it was very bad. Like they pelted him with stones and stuff, and the angels came down to him and saying that, shall we destroy Taif? He's like, no, the descendants will be Muslim. You look at Taif now as Muslim. And you know, there's a lot of, at the time there was ignorance, but Prophet ﷺ had so much patience, there was so much sabr. Nowadays, like, we're the most impatient people. Like this, for me personally, this pandemic has shown it even further, because there's no sense of like patience. There's no, like, if you look at the way people are treating Chinese people now, it's so bad, like so barbaric. Like there's no like control. It's like, have like patience, have sabr. Like this will pass, and if you start showing your ignorance, that what calling labeling the pandemic Chinese, by doing that, you're perpetuating your ignorance and you're catering to a bad audience. And if you're in a position where these people are now being oppressed as a result of something which is out of their hands, essentially, you know, this is not like it's like all the conspiracy theory people be like, oh, it's a man-made thing. It's not. Everything's by the will of Allah. You know? We have no control over it. We think we do, but we don't. You get me? So we need to stop. We need to stop blaming each other, but like work together, because you know you have these governments talking about herd immunity. No. The best form of fighting this pandemic is by being united. That's our true vaccine. That's the true cure to this. Like that's our immunity, bro. Being united on this, you know.
Yeah. what Gawi just said right now.
Correction,
he
it's
was
gone.
100%
Thank you,
right,
brother.
that
Thank you.
it's in the will of Allah
Come on, mate.
that this pandemic has come down, and therefore Allah has wanted you to become closer to Him, and therefore you shouldn't look at it as looking for ways out and just looking like the world's gonna end. Now you just got to look at it as this is something Allah has sent down for your purpose, and
100%.
exactly.
Bro.
There's things. I remember the story
it's another
of Prophet
test.
Ayub. He was granted goodness throughout 80 years of his life, and then 7 years he was tested with loss of children and loss of families.
Beautiful
and
story.
Stuff. And the fact that it's a beautiful story. The fact that Allah had granted him goodness for 80 years, but just 7, the whole lifespan of your life, and then 7 years, Allah just decided to test you. And it's not because He decided to test you; it's because sometimes things that are not meant for you, Allah has made them not meant for you, and therefore is back to the Creator. For example, children. Allah has given you children, so therefore, if Allah takes it away, it's not yours to complain; it is His, and it's just gone back to your Creator. So that's what you got to look at it as. To Allah, you come from.
Inna lillahi wa ilayhi raji'un, bro.
I think we should wrap up there, man.
Everything, all the time.
I think we should wrap up there, innit?
Huh? That was a very, very beautiful ending. But just before we end, I just want to quickly say to this podcast that Wahda is here to help as well. We've seen so many of these organizations around the country, around the world, trying to relieve the stress that this pandemic has brought on us. And if you are living in Reading, in particular, Cemetery Junction area, that Wahda is available for picking up shopping, friendly calls, posting mail, etc. Our details will be in the link in the description. Phone number, email. If you need any help, anything, please contact us. And if you know of someone who may need help and are in a position of stress, etc., please reach out to us. Anything to add, boys?
Just I want to summarize.
You
don't do
Jazakallah, brothers and sisters, for listening.
Hashim.
We're gonna continue trying to get. We'll try.
Inshallah, brothers. That I hope you have enjoyed this podcast and take some good lessons from it, and that do not worry about this pandemic. For surely Allah is the omnipotent and the omniscient, and will never put you through any difficulties. And be grateful for everything that you have, and remain patient. Jazakallah khairan.
Brothers and sisters, we'll try and get this to you. Alhamdulillah, we've still found a way to get this podcast to you, and through this time of difficulty, we'll continue to try and get a podcast to you every fortnight at the latest, maybe every week, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for listening.